Fractional powers. If you have a to some numerator over denominator power. What this means is that we're taking the d root of a to the nth power. That's what it means. The bottom number is the root, and the top number is the power. Okay, so this means the same as this means the same as this. They're interchangeable. And quite often in algebra 2 specifically, we get these fractional powers we have to deal with sometimes. So in general, let's say I have 25 to the 3/2 power. Okay, the technique for evaluating this, in my opinion, the most efficient technique, powers make things get bigger, roots make things get smaller. Okay, in my opinion, anytime I can make something smaller first, I do it. So I can do 125 cubed first and take the square root of that, or I can take the square root of 25 first and cube that. So with this power, you have the option of doing either first and either second. So I can either do 5 to the 3rd power, because the square root of 25 is 5. What's 5 times 5? 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. And then 5 to the 3rd power, 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. That's option 1. Option 2 is to get a calculator and type in 25 to the 3rd power. So then you have 15,625 to the 1/2 power, which means the square root of 15,625, which my calculator says is 125. So your choices are take the root first and then take the power second, or take the power first, take the root second. And again, root first makes it smaller, smaller to a power is easy, bigger to a power is hard, and then the square root of that bigger number is hard. So again, that's the technique I would use. Part of this process in this is that you're going to start recognizing perfect squares, perfect cubes, perfect fourth powers, and so on and so forth. You're going to start recognizing numbers that are happening quite often, and you'll be able to notice those and be better at this. So we don't need to use a calculator on every single problem. That's what my goal is. So if I'm looking at 16 to the 1/4 power, and notice it's 16, and I don't know, the new equation editor I have doesn't do a great job of this, but it's 16 to the 1/4 power is what it is. It's not 16 and 1/4. All right, these are not the same thing. So make sure that when you're writing a fractional power to represent something, it looks like a power, it doesn't look like a mixed number. All right, so that's first off. So if I'm looking at 16 to the 1/4 power, first thing I would do is the 4th root of 16, which is 2. And the second thing I would do is evaluate 2 to the 1st power, which is 2. Okay. Okay, what's 2 times 2? Times 2? Times 2? 16. So I mentally thought of what number times itself 4 times makes 16. That's what a 4th root is, right? So the fact that it's the 4th root, and again, the bottom number on this fraction is the root. So that's a 4th root. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. All right? If you don't know what the 4th root of something is, guess. And if you're right, you'll be right. If you're wrong, you'll either be too big or too small, so your next guess will be more efficient. So let's say I thought it was 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, already too big, right? So 3 is too big, go smaller. Right? So that's kind of how you do it if you don't know what it is. But again, you'll eventually get to a point where you start recognizing, like 32 is 2 to the 5th power, so the 5th root of 32 is 2. All right? So you'll start recognizing these numbers that are happening frequently, and you'll recognize what the roots are. All right? There is no plus or minus attached to this, so the 4th root is only positive 2. Going back here, remember 2 and negative 2 were both the 4th roots of 16. All right? But again, that's all the roots of 16. When you see a problem that's already presenting the problem like that, it doesn't have a plus or minus, it just says positive, you only want positive. If it said negative, this would be negative, this would be negative, this would be negative, right? So whatever they're asking you for is what you're going to be getting them. So there's only one specific answer unless they have other words in there that make you get more than one answer.